This is the video for card N19, Ordering Fractions. The objective of this lesson is to place fractions in order of size. Let's have a look at an example. We want to rewrite the fractions in this box to put them in order of size, starting with the smallest and ending up with the biggest fraction. At the moment, all the fractions look different to each other, and it is very difficult to gauge which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest. And so we need to give all of these fractions a common denominator. We need to find a number that all of the numbers on the bottom of the fractions have in their times table. And in this case, we find that 16 appears in the 2 times table, the 4 times table, the 8 times table, and the 16 times table. And because of that, we can use that as a common denominator. This means that the first fraction, 3 over 16, can stay in its current form, as it is already has the number 16 as its common denominator. However, a half needs to be changed, and we need to change the number 2 into the number 16. And to do this, we need to times the number 2 by the number 8. If we do that to the bottom of the fraction, we also need to do that to the top of the fraction. And so 8 times 1 will give me 8, and 2 times 8 will give me 16. If I now look at the next fraction, 5 over 8, I need to work out how many times 8 needs to be multiplied to give you 16. It is 2, so multiply the bottom and the top of the fraction by the number 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and 8 times 2 is 16. Now the number 4, 4 times 4 will give me 16, and so we need to multiply the top by 4 also. 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. The next question has 8 again as the denominator, and we know from earlier that we need to multiply 8 by 2 in order to get 16. And so again, top and bottom require the same process. 2 times 3 is 6, and 8 times 2 is 16. Now the number 4 again. Number 4 is to be multiplied by 4. 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 4 is 16. Now number 8. 8 requires multiplication by 2. So 2 times 1 will give me 2, and 8 times 2 will give me 16. The final fraction is already out of 16, and so we can leave it as 9 over 16. We now have equivalent fractions, and we can use this process to order the fractions from smallest to biggest. If we look at the number at the top, the numerator, we can see that 2 over 16 is our smallest fraction. 2 over 16 was originally 1 over 8 in our first box. And so 1 over 8 becomes the first fraction in our list, as this is our smallest fraction. If we now look for the second smallest number on the top, this is here, the number 3. So this is our second fraction in the list. 3 over 16 began as 3 over 16, and so we leave that in its original form. The next number along the top is this one, number 4. Number 4 over 16 here was originally 1/4, and so we write it as 1/4 in our final list. We have no number 5 on the top, and so number 6 is our next fraction. 6 over 16 was originally 3 over 8, and so we write 3 over 8. Our next fraction is 8 over 16. 8 over 16 was originally 1/2, and so 1/2 is next. We then have 9 over 16, which was 9 over 16 to start with, and so remains as 9 over 16. We then have 10 over 16. 10 over 16 began as 5 over 8, and so we write 5 over 8 in our final answer line. One more fraction to go. 12 over 16 is going to be our largest fraction, and 12 over 16 originally was 3/4, and so we write 3/4 as our final answer. We now have all our fractions in order, our smallest fraction being 1 over 8, and our biggest fraction being 3/4. Make sure you always put your answer back into its original format and don't leave it with the common denominator as your final answer. Now it's your turn. There are a few questions here for you to put into order. Pause the video while you have a go and then restart it so that you can check your answers.